Have you ever felt trapped by the need to please everyone around you? What if I told you that the secret to true happiness isn't being liked by everyone, but having the courage to be disliked? This might sound completely backwards in our social media-obsessed world, where we constantly seek validation through likes, comments, and approval from others. But according to a groundbreaking book that has transformed millions of lives worldwide, this counterintuitive approach might be exactly what you need to break free from the chains of people-pleasing and find authentic happiness. Today, we're diving deep into The Courage to Be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga, a book that has sold over 1 million copies and challenged everything we thought we knew about psychology, happiness, and human relationships. This isn't just another self-help book filled with empty promises. It's based on the revolutionary psychology of Alfred Adler, presented through a fascinating dialogue between a wise philosopher and a skeptical young man over 5 transformative nights. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your past doesn't have to define your future, how to break free from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval, and most importantly, how to find the courage to live authentically, even if it means some people might not like you. Let's start by understanding the foundation of this entire philosophy. Alfred Adler was an Austrian psychologist who worked alongside Freud, but developed ideas about human behavior that were completely different. While Freud believed that our past experiences and childhood traumas determine who we become, Adler held a radically different view. He believed that we have the power to choose our response to any situation, regardless of what happened to us in the past. This is the first major shift the book asks you to make in your thinking. Your past experiences don't control your future actions. Instead, you assign meaning to those experiences, and you can change that meaning at any time. Think about 2 people who both experienced difficult childhoods. One person might use that experience as an excuse to stay stuck and blame their problems on their parents. Another person might use a difficult childhood as motivation to build a better life and break negative patterns. The experiences were similar, but the meanings they assigned were completely different. This leads to completely different outcomes in their lives. The book presents this wisdom through a unique format that makes complex psychological concepts easy to understand. It's structured as a 5-night conversation between a philosopher and a young man. The young man represents all of us, skeptical, frustrated, and looking for answers. He challenges every idea the philosopher presents, asking the tough questions we all have. The philosopher responds with patience and wisdom, gradually revealing the principles that can transform how we see ourselves and our relationships. This dialogue format is brilliant because it anticipates your doubts and objections. When the philosopher says you can choose to be happy right now, the young man responds exactly how you might. That's impossible. You don't understand my situation. But through their conversation, deeper truths emerge. One of the most powerful concepts in the book is the separation of tasks. This means clearly identifying what is your responsibility is and what belongs to others. For example, you can control your own actions, words, and efforts. However, you cannot control how others respond to you or what they think about you. Their thoughts and opinions are their tasks, not yours. This single concept can completely transform your relationships. How often do you stress about what someone might think of your decisions? How much energy do you waste trying to manage other people's emotions or reactions? According to Adlerian psychology, this is where most of our problems come from. We're trying to handle tasks that aren't ours. When you focus only on your own tasks, you become free to act authentically without constantly worrying about others' approval. This brings us to another key idea in the book. All problems stem from interpersonal relationships. This might sound dramatic, but think about it. Most of your stress, anxiety, and unhappiness probably involves other people in some way. You're worried about disappointing someone, comparing yourself to others, or seeking validation from people around you. The book argues that when you stop competing with others and comparing yourself to them, many of your problems simply disappear. Instead of seeing life as a competition where you need to be better than others, you can see it as a journey of personal growth and contribution. This shift from vertical relationships, where someone is always better or worse, to horizontal relationships, where everyone has equal worth, changes everything. You stop trying to prove your value and start focusing on how you can contribute to your community. But here's where the book gets really challenging. It suggests that seeking praise and avoiding criticism actually harms your growth. When you live for praise, you become dependent on others for your self-worth. When you're terrified of criticism, you stop taking risks and trying new things. The book's philosopher explains that both praise and criticism place your value in others' hands. True freedom comes when you can act according to your own values, whether people praise you or criticize you. This is what they mean by having the courage to be disliked. It doesn't mean being rude or inconsiderate to others. It means being willing to disappoint some people in order to stay true to yourself. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're invited to a social event that you really don't want to attend. Maybe you're tired, or you'd rather spend time on a personal project, or the event just doesn't align with your values. Most people would either force themselves to go, to avoid disappointing others, or make up an excuse to avoid it. But someone with the courage to be disliked might simply say, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to make it." They don't need an elaborate excuse because they're comfortable with the possibility that the host might be disappointed. They've separated their tasks, making choices that align with their values, from others' tasks, how the host responds to their decision. This approach leads to more authentic relationships because people know where they truly stand with you. The book also challenges conventional thinking about trauma and healing. Instead of spending years analyzing why you are the way you are, Adlerian psychology focuses on who you want to become. This doesn't mean ignoring or minimizing difficult experiences. It means refusing to let those experiences define your future choices. You are not a victim of your past. You are the author of your future. This perspective is incredibly empowering because it puts control back in your hands. You don't need to wait for someone else to fix you or for perfect conditions to appear. You can start making different choices right now. The book emphasizes that happiness is not a destination you reach after solving all your problems. Happiness is a choice you make in each moment, regardless of your circumstances. This might sound too simple or unrealistic, but the authors provide a clear framework for how this works in practice. First, you accept yourself as you are right now, including your flaws and limitations. This doesn't mean giving up on growth. It means stopping the constant self-criticism that drains your energy. Second, you focus on contributing to others and your community, rather than on what you can get from them. When your primary goal shifts from receiving to giving, you discover a deeper source of satisfaction. Third, you live in the present moment, rather than dwelling on past mistakes or future worries. The book describes life not as a straight line from point A to point B, but as a series of moments that each deserve your full attention. One of the most practical applications of these principles involves changing how you handle relationships. Instead of trying to change other people or get them to meet your needs, you focus on being the kind of person you want to be, regardless of how others behave. This, paradoxically, often leads to better relationships, because people are drawn to authenticity and emotional independence. When you stop needing others to validate you, you become more attractive to be around. The book also addresses the role of community and belonging. Humans are social creatures who need connection, but many people seek belonging in unhealthy ways. They try to fit in by sacrificing their individuality or by competing for status within groups. Adlerian psychology suggests a different approach. Contribute to your community based on your unique strengths and values, without seeking recognition or special status. This creates a sense of belonging without requiring you to be someone you're not. Throughout the 5 nights of dialogue, the young man gradually transforms his understanding of these concepts. He starts out feeling powerless and frustrated with life. By the end, he's discovered that he has far more control over his happiness and relationships than he ever realized. This transformation doesn't happen because his external circumstances changed.
It happens because he changed his perspective on those circumstances.
The journey through the courage to be disliked reveals a simple yet profound truth. You have more power over your happiness than you might believe. The path forward isn't about changing other people or waiting for perfect conditions. It's about accepting yourself, focusing on your own tasks, and having the courage to live authentically even when others disagree with your choices. This philosophy has resonated with millions of readers worldwide because it offers something rare, genuine hope combined with practical wisdom. You don't need years of therapy or perfect circumstances to start applying these principles. You can begin right now by asking yourself, what would I do differently if I weren't afraid of being disliked?
What authentic choices have I been avoiding because I'm worried about others' reactions? How much energy am I wasting on tasks that aren't actually mine to handle? These questions can be the beginning of your own transformation. Remember, the goal isn't to be disliked, it's to be free from the fear of being disliked. When you achieve that freedom, you often find that your relationships actually improve because people respect authenticity more than they respect people-pleasing. If this exploration of Adlerian psychology has sparked your curiosity, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Have you ever experienced the freedom that comes from stopping the chase for approval?
What would change in your life if you truly embraced the courage to be disliked? Don't forget to like this video if it gave you a new perspective on happiness and relationships. Subscribe for more deep dives into books and ideas that can transform how you see the world. If you enjoy thoughtful reflections like this, I also write about book reviews, mindfulness, and purposeful living on my blog, The Zen Journal. The link is below. And remember, your past doesn't define you. Other people's opinions don't control you. And you have the power to choose happiness right now, in this moment. The only question is, do you have the courage to claim it?